Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I'm going to put together an odds and ends video for you. Once again, we have stuff stacking up again over here, but also this weekend I didn't really get a chance to do any work in the shop. Well, that's not exactly true. I've been working in the shop all weekend, but it's not been the kind of work that you guys want to see. I've actually spent really my entire weekend this weekend cleaning up the shop and doing a really good clean up, clean out, reorganization. And it has pretty much taken all weekend long to do that. Why have I done that? A couple of reasons. First off, it was getting to where it really needed it. And second off, on Monday, actually the day this video is posted live, I've got a tour group coming through Tifton, and they've actually scheduled a stop out here at my shop to do a tour. And I think it's actually part of a convention that's going on here in town of vocational agriculture teachers in South Georgia. And they've got some different activities for them in the afternoon that they could pick and choose to go to. And we had about 30 people signed up that wanted to come out and visit the shop out here. So I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's going to be fun to have a large group in here and showing the shop off. But it was really a mess in here. I would have been uncomfortable having 30 people in here the way it was. So I spent the weekend cleaning up the shop, and the shop looks fabulous. I'm not going to do a tour or anything like that, but I have really gotten stuff cleaned up. I got a lot of the clutter out of here, and it's just, I got stuff put up where it goes, stuff, you know, how stuff just kind of accumulates and gets piled up. A lot of it has been some organization, but I'm very excited to kind of get the shop decluttered and clean too. Lots of sweeping, lots of dusting, lots of that kind of stuff as well. So that is how I spent my weekend in the shop, but time well spent regardless, but don't have any real content to share with you guys this week. Other than odds and ends, we do have some stuff here we're going to show you. So let's get in here and show you what we picked up. But the last couple of weeks got some cool stuff, and I think you guys will enjoy this. Not a huge quantity, but some really good quality items here. So let's get in here and show you. So to start out with, I'm actually bringing back a item that I've had laying around the shop for a long time. And this is a Eagle 66 oiler. It's not in the greatest of shape, but it's in decent shape. And I purchased this at the Moultrie swap meet in Moultrie, Georgia, probably 2 years ago. And when I bought it, it had the nice spout and everything on it. And I carry a little wagon with me when I'm at that, because you can't take golf carts or things. So I take a little wagon with me and pull it along and throw stuff in the wagon. And about almost halfway through the show, I looked down and my spout had come unscrewed and had fallen off of this and had fallen through the wire mesh in my wagon, and it was laying somewhere on the showgrounds if somebody hadn't picked it up. And yeah, it was gone. Well, I was kind of upset about it, but brought it on home, whatever. Fast forward to right here recently, and a couple of weeks ago, my friend Steve Summers, who's a YouTuber up in the Kentucky area, did a video where he made a spout for an Eagle 66 oiler. And I just commented to him, I said, yeah, I need to do the same thing, make one. I've got one that I'm missing. I need to take the time to make one of those myself. And he wrote me back a note and he says, tell you what, he says, I've got extra material. I'm gonna make you one and send you one. So he sent me a new spout to go in here. And this just screws right up here on the front. I believe that's 1/4-28 threads. I'm not 100% sure. But that goes right in there like such, and voila, brand new spout for my Eagle 66 oiler, and we can put this one in service. So while we're looking at that, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in this right here, which is another Eagle 66 oiler. This is one that I picked up at the Bardsley Summer Bash, and Tom Lipton, again, another YouTuber. You guys may be familiar with his name. If you're not, you probably need to go take a look at his channel. He's got some good stuff, as does Steve Summers. But Tom had brought a bunch of stuff to the swap meet. One of them being an Eagle 66 oiler, and I'm a sucker for Eagle 66 oilers. I pulled it out, and Tom was actually gracious enough, he just gave it to me. So there you go. And we'll compare the two spouts. Here's the one that Steve made. Now, this one's got a little nut, the little jam nut. I looked over there. I don't have the right threaded nut, but I'll get one and put on here. Put a little jam nut on there. But Steve did a good job. You know, the only real difference is the little tip down here on this one is kind of beveled over. This is to go up onto a oiler. That you can kind of put it in there and get a seal on it. I've actually seen some that have more of this taper type spout on it, but pretty much just like the originals. Very nice. So Steve, greatly appreciate sending along that. We got the Eagle 66s now where I can use it. And Tom, I'm adding another one to the collection. Up until I got these two, I have 4 other Eagle 66 oilers, and they've all got different grades of oil in them, and I use them around the shop all the time. I put a little sticker on the back that tells what's in them, and I'm going to use these for the same type thing. I'll probably have I may put an extra one out that has whey oil in it, because I can't ever seem to find my whey oil when it's always laying on a machine somewhere. And then the other one, I may put a different grade of oil in it. But anyway, these are just really nice. I like the old school brass oiler here. They're just cool. There's plenty of them out there. I still see them from time to time at swap meets, although they're getting to be kind of expensive when you have to go buy them. And part of that's probably because of YouTube videos where people like myself and Adam Booth are always talking about these things. Everybody's looking for them now. So they're getting a little bit harder to find. But anytime I see them at a swap meet or whatever, if they're a reasonable price, I'll pick them up. I've seen some here lately that I think have crazy prices on them, and I'll leave those for someone else to pick up. But anyway, Eagle 66 oilers. Steve, again, thank you for the spout, and Tom, thank you for the whole oiler. Well, you gotta love it when big heavy-duty wooden boxes show up at the doorstep when the mailman or UPS or whatever drops one off, and that was the case. I had one show up here a week or so ago, and this box is from Mike Ivers, who's out in Arizona, and Mike sent along in this nice wooden crate one gigantic, I'm going to dump it out this way, I think, gently. Look at that. It is a gigantic 2-inch end mill. Yes, it is a little rusty, but it's actually very sharp, believe it or not. And I can put this in my Evapo-Rust tank, and it should come out looking brand spanking new. So here's the story. He sent me a little letter with it. The backstory on this, he says his dad had a small shop in Glendale, California in the 60s and 70s. And about 1973, they bought a Cincinnati vertical mill with a Bridgeport head. And then a few days later, he said his dad was at the Lockheed surplus store, and he saw this great big end mill, and even though it wouldn't fit in his Bridgeport head, he bought it and brought it in just to kind of have some contrast, is what he says here, just to kind of more of a joke than anything else, to show folks the end mill that they run on that thing. And this is a hoss of an end mill. I believe that fits up in a 2-inch collet. I think the actual diameter may be probably 2.5 inches is what it looks like. I'm just guessing. Looks like a 1/4 of an inch on either side. But anyway, pretty cool. And I can actually run this on my horizontal milling machine. I've got a 2-inch collet that goes in my 50 taper. And I told him, I says, yeah, send it along. Who knows? You never know when you have that job that comes up when you might need something crazy like this. And if nothing else, we'll have it to show people what a real end mill looks like. And that is pretty cool. So anyway, Mike, thank you very much for thinking of me, sending it along. And this is cool. I like it, and who knows, you might just very well see this thing show up in a video at some point in time. I am going to go put that in my Evapor-Rust tank and get it cleaned up before I put it up. Well, if you watch this channel here regularly, you know that a couple of weeks ago I was out in California at the Barzy Summer Bash, which I've been to several times now, and made about a 2-week road trip. Went out, flew into Southern California, went to the Barzy Bash, rented a car, drove up to Wyoming, and the following weekend my daughter got married in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, in the Grand Teton National Park, and then came back home. Had an awesome trip out west, and a couple of the items that we brought in here. I showed you the oiler a minute ago I picked up at the Barzy Bash from Tom Lipton. These are a couple of items. These were actually given to me by Stan Zinkowski, who is the host for the Barzy Summer Bash. And Stan, again, is a YouTuber. He's got a YouTube channel. If you look up Barzy Industrial, you'll find his channel. And these are a couple of things that Stan sent home with me. So first off, what we got over here is this is some 15 micron sandpaper that is on an adhesive back, so you can use this for super fine lapping. And I've got a lapping table over there. That's a cast iron lapping plate that I can just stick these right down on and do some really fine lapping if I wanted to. Stan had a whole big old box full of stuff, and he gave me and a couple other guys some of the stuff to bring home. So that definitely be cool. And what this is this is a kit that he put together. Again, if you watch my channel regularly and go back in time, I've got one of his Hot Shot 360 heat treat ovens that Stan designed and built. I've got one of the early versions of that. I got one from him very shortly after he started making those. And what this is a kit where you can pipe argon into the furnace while you're doing a heat treat, and when you do that, you basically have an inert gas inside there, and it keeps the film and stuff from building up on the surface of your metal while you're heat treating. So this was a kit, like I said, that he put together, and you just basically drill a hole in the top of the oven, and you put I think he told me this was Inconel that goes down into the furnace so that it can withstand the heat, but you just pump the argon in. You can use the argon off of your welding tank if you got a TIG welder and put it right in there. So Stan has actually sold the rights to the Hot Shot 360, and it is now being manufactured by American Rotary. They started a new company called American Furnace, and their first item is going to be selling a Hot Shot 360 oven based off of Stan's design. They did make some changes to it, improvements to it, and they are now mass producing those and selling those through American, I think it's American Kilns, excuse me, I said American Furnace, AmericanKilns.com. So, go check those guys out if you're interested. This kit here is now basically obsolete because it really won't work with the new Hot Shot 360s. He had some left over for the old style, like what I've got, and he just said, here, take this and put it on your oven, which I'm going to be very happy to do. That'll be a big improvement to my oven when I use it. And if you're interested in a heat treat oven, go check out AmericanKilns.com. Again, the same makers of the American Rotary face converter that I use in my shop. Sometime back, I got an email from one of my viewers, Lauren Langdon, who lives out in Buell, Idaho, and Lauren had sent me a list of large taper shank drill bits. So these are all number 5 Morse taper drill bits. He had a bunch of surplus stuff that he was trying to thin the herd down a little bit and wanted to know if I need any particular sizes. He sent me a long list of drill bits, and I went through my inventory and found ones that I didn't have one in that size. Most of these are, really all of these are at least greater than 1 inch. Some of these are greater than 2 inches in diameter. And I went through my list, found them, and the ones I needed, sent them back. And Lauren built some wooden boxes, and he was going to ship these to me. He actually had them all in tubes where they were protected, and he just hadn't sent them to me yet. Well, like I mentioned, when I was on my trip out west, I was actually coming through Idaho, and Lauren sent me an email and said, hey, if you're going to be in the area, you're welcome to swing by and visit the shop. And I said, yeah, I would love to do that. And in fact, we did a shop tour video on my visit to Lauren Langdon's shop. Really interesting guy, really nice shop that he's got. And like I said in that video, he's got an incredible antique gasoline engine collection. Specializes in Fairbanks Morse, and I'm talking the big ones, you know, the 10 to 50 horsepower engines. Some of them may even be bigger than that. And we went and looked at all that stuff. Just an absolute amazing collection that he has. But back to the drill bits. While I was out there, instead of having to ship these things, I just loaded them up and brought them home. Now, I had a rental car, and I actually flew home from out west, but I had some people that were driving out to my daughter's wedding, and they were willing to bring these back home. So I loaded them up in their car, and they drove them back to Georgia. And anyway, saved some shipping costs on having to ship these drill bits around. So again, an absolute amazing collection here. Most of these drill bits, they look like they're brand spanking new. In fact, this one here, it's even still in the original box. I mean, it's never been used. And all of these are sharp. In fact, I would be willing to bet that if any of these have been used, they've been used extremely lightly. These are all in very, very good shape. Got a little bit of surface rust on a few, but again, we can throw those in the Vapor-Rust tank and have them cleaned up with no problem at all. So I use these big drill bits. I got, of course, my big radial drill that takes number 5 Morse taper, so we can use these over there. And these things are awesome when you got to drill a great big hole. You can go over there to that machine and just put them right in there and go to town. So anyway, Lauren, thank you very much. This is awesome, and I'm glad we were able to save on the shipping. Really enjoyed my visit out there. I'm going to go put these up. I've got little bins over there on one of my shelves where I have a hole for all the different drill bits in 64-inch increments from 1 inch to 2 inch. And I've got some holes, and we're going to fill them up. And then the ones that are greater than 2 inches, I don't have those divided out, but I've got a place to put those over there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get these all sorted out and put up, and we'll have them when we need them. And again, thank you, Lauren, for sending them along. So up next, this is really cool too. So this is actually something else I picked up from Lauren when I was up at his place. Lauren had in his rather amazing collection a bunch of brand new old stock Wilton vises, all made in USA. I don't know how old these are, but they are an older type. He's had them for a while. But he had probably 3 pallets of older vises that were all brand spanking new. Most of them were all different sizes, and he had a couple of them that were duplicates, and picked up this CO vise from him. So this is a 3.5-inch jaw right there. It has the pipe jaws in here, which is something I don't have on any of my vices anymore. I used to have a vise that was over on my bench. It wasn't a Wilton, what was that? It was a Josie vise that had the pipe jaws in it, and I use those things all the time. And when I got my big 8-inch Wilton, I took the Josie off. I actually sold the Josie, but this is actually something that's going to be really handy to have, mainly because when you need those pipe jaws. And while that 8-inch vise is really, really neat, for a lot of things it's just almost too big. I'm going to probably put this over on my welding bench over there and have this on another corner where I can use it, and it'll be really handy to have that again, the smaller size and the pipe jaws when I need it. And I've never had a brand spanking new Wilton vise before. All the ones I've had have been old ones that I've refurbished, painted up. The nice thing about these Wilton bullet vises is these things are bulletproof. They can be tightened down there. That's just a swivel base. These things are, I'm not going to say they're indestructible, but you really have to abuse one pretty hard before it's gonna be damaged beyond repair, and I've picked up several over the years and just restored them and put them back into use. I've got my big 8-inch one. I've got a 4-inch one that's on this bench that I use all the time, and again, this one here I think will be really, really nice. Also picked up some copper jaws, and these are they're Wilton, but this is the 2.5 inch. This is for the little baby bullet vise, which I don't have a baby bullet vise, but that is something that I would like to get one day if I can ever find one at a reasonable price. But if you're not familiar with these fit down in here, and you kind of bend these around and wrap them around. You can kind of clip them on and off, but when you need soft jaws, you can use these little copper inserts, and it's really nice. You can buy these for the different size Wilton vises, bullet vises. In fact, I'm probably just going to order them. I've been needing a pair of these to go on my 4-inch vise over here for a while. I'm probably going to just order me a set of them and have them because I need soft jaws from time to time. But if I ever find a baby bullet vise, I'll have the soft jaws to use with it. So we'll see. But anyway, Lauren, thank you so much for working with me on these Wilton vises. This one, like I said, I'm really excited to have it. It's a really, really nice vise. Made in USA. That's what I like to see. So up next, I got a pretty nice collection of old machine shop books, literature that got sent in by Norman Burroughs, and Norman had contacted me, told me he had a bunch of books, and boy did he have some. And he sent along some really nice gems here, and I'm gonna have to kind of compare and see what I've already got in my library. I know some of the stuff I don't, some of the stuff I might, but anyway, we'll take a look at it. So let's take a quick look at what all we got in here. So I kind of got these stacked. These are kind of mostly series of books that were kind of sold back in the day as correspondence course type books, where you could buy a series of books and go through this. This is from what they call their machine shop library, and the first one here is practical die making. And you're going to notice a trend here. Most of these books, not all of them, but they're from McGraw-Hill. But there are two authors that seem to have written most of the stuff, and I've noticed in my collection they were prolific writers of books back in the day. And one of them is this Fred Colvin here, wrote a bunch of stuff on machine shop type work. And this one here is all on die making. Let's see what the date is on this. This is a first edition 8th impression though. And let's see what the date is. Copyright 1916. So anyway, from that time period there. The second one in this series from the Machine Shop Library. So this one is Accurate Tool Work, and here's the other name you're going to see a lot of, F.A. Stanley. Stanley and what was the other guy's name? Colvin. They wrote a lot of books separately and together. This one actually has Goodrich as the person here, department foreman from Pratt & Whitney. But this is also a first edition 9th impression, and the copyright on it is 1907. But with it being the 9th impression, I'm sure it's a little bit later. So anyway, two nice books there. Now this series here is from the American Machinist Library series. And I've got in my collection already several books from this collection. I don't know what I've got duplicates of, but I know I don't have this many, but I do know I have several of them. So Jigs and Fixtures, and Colvin and Haas wrote this one, 2nd edition, and copyright 1913 and 1922. All right, same book here, Jigs and Fixture. However, this is the 4th edition, and the 4th edition looks like it would have been printed in 1943. And it is a little bit thicker, so it looks like they added some content to that book. Punches and Die by Frank A. Stanley, 1st edition, 1919. This is the 5th impression. Tool and gauge work, F.A. Stanley and Goodrich. This is the first edition, and that was from 1922. Machine tools and their operation from Colvin and Stanley, and first edition, this is also from 1922. So this is the same title, but this is part one. The other one was actually part two, so it was a two-part series. Again, first edition 1922. Those came together as a set. And the last one from this series, Die Engineering and Layouts by Heinemann, first edition, and this is 1943. So this is a different series of books here. This is actually from the Industrial Press, Jones and Hamilton, Advanced Grinding Practices, first edition, 1915. And also from that same series, Modern Toolmaking Methods from Frank Jones, also 1915, the first edition. This is Ingenious Mechanisms for Designers and Inventors. I've actually got a copy of this one. And this is there's actually 4 volumes in this. I know because I have the 4 volumes over there. I have a later printed edition. This is the 5th printing, 1944. Really interesting book. It's got all kinds of really neat mechanisms in it that are just very unique. And if you were an inventor, someone that was looking for cool ways of doing things, you can get a lot of inspiration out of these books. Got volume 1 and volume 2 here, and like I said, this was originally a 4-volume series, and I've got a more modern version of this, but still pretty cool. Die Design and Die Making Practice from Frank Jones, also the Industrial Press, 2nd edition, 2nd printing, and 1941 date on it. So these are the American Machinist Handbook, again, Colvin and Stanley. This is kind of like a machinery's handbook. It's just full of all the information you need in a machine shop that you just need to go be able to look up from time to time. They got a 7th edition and an 8th edition. I've got a couple of copies of this. This is a really handy book to have. And in fact, he also sent along a copy of the Machinery's Handbook, which is a totally different book. This is probably the standard. It's the Bible. Most machinists will have this Machinery's Handbook, and this one is a 12th edition. But either one of these are great references. I actually use them both all the time, although the Machinery's Handbook is probably my go-to. Simplified Punch and Die Making, Walker and Taylor, 1948, about just that, punches and die making. And I saved this one for last, Advanced Machine Work. And this book actually has a little bit of a special meaning to me. This is a 7th edition. Let's see what the date is on it. Looks like 1922. And this is an original copy, but the reason this book is special to me is when I was working in the machine shop back in the 1980s and kind of doing an apprenticeship, my boss that I worked for had a copy of this book. It was an original version, and he let me take it home and study it. And I learned so much from this book. It's a very basic book for beginners, and it just goes through all kinds of stuff. Some of it's kind of dated, but the principles are still the same. And I think I read this book from cover to cover when I was, 18, 19, 20 years old, somewhere along in that ballpark. It was over a period of time. Like, you got all the flat belt machinery and stuff in here, which is just right up my alley. In fact, I think part of the reason I like flat belt machinery is because of this book. I read and studied this book so much that even today, I can see a page in this book in my mind, and I've got a copy of this. It's a reprint. It's not an original copy, but I'll go look it up and I'll go find it. But I read and studied this thing so much when I was learning to be a machinist that there are literally sections that are just it's almost like a photographic memory. I don't have photographic memory, but in this book I kind of do, but it's because I looked at it and referenced it so much. This is all on tool making here. It's just got everything in the world. I'm not going to say this is the go-to book to learn to be a machinist, but at least for me, this was the book that I learned a lot of the basics out of, at least in principle. And I used to have an original copy of this book, and somewhere along the way, my original copy that I had acquired probably back in the early 1990s, it disappeared. I don't know where it went. And I was able to find Lindsay Publications made a reprint of this book. I don't know if it's still in print or not. You may still be able to get a reprint of it, but I got one of the reprints, and I still refer back to it. But now I have an original copy of this book again, and to me that is really cool, because this book, again, it just means a lot to me. I'm gonna put it on my bookcase next to my reprint, and I'll probably use my reprint because it's in better shape, and I don't want to damage this one. But anyway, I'm just really excited to have an original copy of that particular volume. So guys, I want to mention an upcoming event that we got coming up that I just want to make people aware of and let you come out. You've heard me talk about this in the past, but it's the annual ArnFest event, ArnFest. Our 2021 version is going to be held September 23rd through 26th, and as in the past, this will be held up at the Illinois Railway Museum in Union, Illinois. And I always look forward to this event. I've been to every single one since we had the first one back in the early 2000s. And it's just a lot of fun. So anyway, that 23rd through 26th is the kind of the time frame. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Although Saturday is really kind of the big day. Thursday, there's not much going on. We have a few things going on Friday. Saturday's when we have the swap meet, and probably when most people are there. We have a banquet and a silent auction, and raffle tickets and stuff that evening on that Saturday. All that is held at the Holiday Inn in Crystal Lake, Illinois. But anyway, if you're interested in coming, you can go check it out at arnfest.com. That's ArnFest.com. You can go see the schedule, what's going on. You can see who's coming, and you can register there online if you're interested in coming. Hope to see some of you guys up there. It's always a lot of fun. And with that, I think that's pretty much it on this episode of Odds and Ends. So guys, if you didn't notice, look right up here. We have Ginger the cat. If she's been there the whole time we've been shooting this, she seems to have discovered my toolbox up there, and the last couple of days she's been napping up there all day long. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought I'd mention that. And yeah, I just happened to think of this too while we're talking about cats. Sad news around here. If you've been watching the channel for a long time, you've probably seen my little calico cat, Josie. She has been here. She was 18 years old. When we bought our house, the house came with a cat, basically. She was an outdoor cat. The people who were here before couldn't take her with her. They asked us if we would keep Josie, basically take care of her, which my wife and I were more than happy to do. We are animal people. And so we had Josie here for the last 8 years that we've been in the house. She was 18 years old. She passed away this past week, and really sad to lose her. She's just been a little sweet kitty cat that really, when we first came here, she was kind of wild, but she adopted us, particularly me, and really she's kind of had turned this shop into her home since we built a shop out here. But her health has been kind of declining over the last 6 or 7 months. I've been noticing it. I attribute it to old age. Last weekend, after I got back from being out west, I was out here working in the shop on, I guess it was on Sunday, and I fed the cats that evening, and they jump up on the counter and eat up over here on the counter where the dogs can't get to their food. And she jumped right up there, went to eating with the other cats. I went over and actually pet her and rubbed her a little bit. And I noticed whenever I did that her body weight had dropped a lot, which we had someone come to take care of the cats while we were gone. That wasn't an issue at all. But she was almost skin and bones, and her fur was just almost loose on her. And I loved on her a few minutes while she was eating. And went in the house. The next day was Monday, July 4th, and I was out here working the shop most of the day. And at the end of the day, I thought to myself, I hadn't seen Josie all day long. And usually Josie's in the shop. She pretty much lives in the shop. She would pretty much sleep during the day and hadn't noticed her all day long. So I went looking for her and walked around the pond out here, which is where I would usually see her when she was outside, was kind of around that pond. It was kind of her little favorite area over there, and she was laying dead on the side of the pond. I didn't know how long she had been gone, but first it had been a little while. So we buried Josie out behind the shop. Really sad to lose her, but she lived a good long life, and she was, like I said, she made many cameo appearances in my videos, and I had lots of comments on Josie over the years. So if you ever saw that little calico cat, unfortunately she is no more. She was almost completely deaf. I think she was completely deaf, and she was almost blind as well. Like I said, her health had really gone down over the last 6 or 9 months, but it's sad to lose her, but that happens. And we've got Ginger and Marion, our new 2 shop cats, who have been here for now probably 6 or 9 months, and they're picking up the slack right there where Josie left off. They're definitely doing their job, keeping this place critter free, and just being good shop cats. So with that, guys, that is going to be a wrap. As always, thank you for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thumbs up and commenters are appreciated. Hit that bell icon to get the notifications when new videos are posted. And if you feel like supporting the channel monetarily, you can do that through Patreon. There's also a PayPal link up there. Any contributions are always appreciated. I use that money. It all gets reinvested back into the shop to help create new content to bring out to you guys. And anyway, with that, thanks for everything, and we will catch you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.